Alright, you guys, today we're going to be learning about stem and leaf plots, and then we're also going to be learning about histograms. So to define what a stem and leaf plot is, this is actually a way of displaying quantitative data, and another word for quantitative data is actually numerical data. So we're going to go over an example of how to actually create a stem and leaf plot first. We have a list of our students' test scores. So the way you read your stem and leaf plot, you are going to basically put your stem over here on the left side, and then your leaves go on the right side. So I will explain what that actually means. So just basically create your T-chart for a second. And then sometimes they usually have a key, so what we do, basically since we don't have any fives, or sorry, 1 through 4, we get to start our stem at 5. So the way this is so this is our stem. This is all the numbers that are going to be in the 50s. So I'm going to go, so my first number is 52. So now if you go like this, the 5/2, that reads as 52. So this is kind of like the keys. Some of the stem and leaf plots have keys. So now my next number is 54. So now I'm just going to put a 4. We don't have to put a comma or anything. The next number is 6. Then I have 8. So those are all of my 50s. Awesome. Now I can cross those out. Now let's go to my 60s. That means I have to start another column. I have 61, 65, and 68. Cross off all 3 of those. Now I'm going to go to my 70s. So I have 72, 74. And you do actually have to list out all of these 4s because it's letting you know that there's still those students who got those scores. So I had 3 74s, I have a 75, 77. And now we go to our 80s. So I have 82, 83, 83. That's all my 80s. And then now we're going to go to the 90s. And my 90s are, I have 90, 92, 95, and 96. Okay, so I've included all my numbers, and that's actually how I've created a stem and leaf plot. You can see where there was more values actually in the 70 range, so that just allows us to create a stem and leaf. So next we're going to actually be given a stem and leaf, and we're going to go through and answer some of these questions. So for our first question, are we going to be looking at the stem and leaf the same way? So actually it is the one that we created from the last page. So our first question is asking us, what were the highest and lowest scores on the test? So our lowest was listed here, that 52. So our lowest score was 52. And then the highest score was the highest, we should be over here all the way to 96. Okay, the next question was which test score occurred most frequently? So I think the number that we wrote the most repeatedly was the 74, and the way you could tell it, there was 1, 2, 3, 4, all in that same row. In which 10-point interval did most of the students score? So our values were at the 10 points, so we went from 70 all the way to 79. So be careful, it's not 79 to 80 because you have to include 70 and 79. So if you were to count 70, 71, 72, 73, 74, 75, 76, 77, 78, 79, that's already 10 numbers. Now, how many students received a score of 70 or better? So we're going to go ahead and count all of the 70s or better. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Now, how many students received a score less than 70? So now we're just going to go on the lower half, and we're going to count 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So there's only 7. All right, so that's how to read a stem and leaf plot if we were actually given one. Our next example, we're going to look at a double stem and leaf plot. So our double stem and leaf plot, what it means double, is that we can read it this way as well as this way. No matter what, you guys start the numbers in the middle. So don't read this number as 87. You actually read it, like I said, from the middle, so 78. So they're all going to be coming from the middle. And let's start with our number. So let's see, so this number would be 51, and this number would be 74. Okay, so just make sure we're reading these correctly on our double leaf plot. So what is the highest morning relative humidity? Sorry, this is actually having a key of our percentages, so these are percents. So if we look at what the highest morning relative humidity is, we go to the morning, it's going to go from the middle out to the highest number, so 89%. And again, I know they're percentages because the key is actually telling me. Now, what is the lowest afternoon humidity? So, lowest score, 51%, or humidity percentage. And then, does the relative humidity tend to be higher in the morning or the afternoon? And, well, let's see. So, if it's higher in the morning, higher in the morning is 89 degrees, and then the afternoon only gets to 59. So, it's definitely higher in the morning. Okay. Now we're going to be talking about histograms. This is a way of grouping quantitative data, so still numerical data, but this time it's going to be represented in intervals. So our first example, we're going to create a histogram that represents the students' scores from their Math 1 unit test, Math Unit 1 test. So in order to figure out these categories, you're going to be drawing a graph, and we need to be making sure that we label all this first. So on the left-hand side, first of all, we're talking about the number of students. So this is our frequency. And then on the bottom, we're talking about test scores. And we have to come up with a title for our actual test. So we're going to say, or our histogram. So we're going to say Math 1, sorry, I keep saying Math 1, Math Unit 1 test. Okay, so now we look at our numbers. Well, we don't go anything lower than 51. So I think that my first interval that I'm going to do, and I'm going to start off a little bit so that I know I'm not starting off at 0. I'm going to make it from 50 to 59. And then let's actually just count it. Let's make it while we're doing this. So I'm going to say 1, 2, okay, so I had to change my stuff so I can actually number this. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We should actually count the highest one we have. So looks like 80s is listed a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, perfect. I'll make it. So then we're just going to continue this up, and then we should be good to go. Okay, so then I'm going to also continue my intervals of let's actually see what we want to count our interval. So I was counting from 50 to 59, so that means our next interval, our first interval that we have right there, there's actually only one number, 51, between 50 and 59. So I'm going to just bring up my histogram to there. Okay, you guys can color them if you want. So the difference between a histogram and a bar graph, the histogram actually touches because it's numerical data. A bar graph does categorical data because you're talking about two different actually word problem kind of type things. So my next category is going to be from 60 to 69. And we're going to count how many are actually there. So now when I count the 60s, 1, 2, 3, 4, I'm going to go up to 4. And maybe I need to squeeze those guys in a little bit more. Alright, you guys, so I went ahead and fixed my group. So I did 50 to 59, 60 to 69, 70 to 79, 80 to 89, and then 90 to 99. And yes, we don't have a score of 100, but just showing you guys so that we actually know that we have a 0 and it stops there. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and actually fill these in now. So my next one, I was figuring out how many 60s there were. So 1, 2, and 3. So let me go up to 3 now. I'm sorry, there's 4. 4, 4, 4. So we were already at 4. And then again, you're keeping these touching. Now 70, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I'm going to go up a little bit higher to 5. And then 80 to 89, let's count those. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Alright, we're going all the way up to the top here. And then I have my 90 to 99, so 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going back down, and then I don't have any hundreds to 109s. So that's how you guys create a histogram. The key points of having that is having a title, labeling the sides of your actual graph here. So numerically and numerically like this, as well as an actual title, and again numerically and a title. Okay, those are the key points, making sure that your graph is also touching right here. Alright, let's actually be given a histogram now, and we're going to answer some questions. So if we are given a histogram that shows the movie revenues in a recent year, so we want to know how many movies grossed at least $141 million. So if we look at our $141 million, that's what this number actually here is. I don't know if you guys can see that, but we want to see which one had at least. So that means that we're counting above the $141 million. So I have 5 here, plus 1, which is 6, plus 2, which is 8, plus another 2, which is 10, and plus another 2, which is 12. So that's how many movies grossed over $141 million. How many movies grossed between 61, so that's this one right here, 61 million, and 180. So that's between these right here, and we want to talk about between those. So we don't know where those values are, so between 61 to 180, I'm going to count this 4 plus 10 and then plus 5. So I get 19. And then can you determine how many movies grossed between 121 and 140 million from the histogram? And we actually can't determine exactly how many because the histogram only gives us ranges and not actual values. Okay, and then I just want you guys to make sure we have kind of what we're talking about here. So these were 19 movies and these were movies as well. Okay, so that is it for the notes today. I will see you guys later.